Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriela Escutia. It is very pleasant to be here with you today and share some of the data field work that is being done in Oregon related to hepatitis. Viral hepatitis is a reportable condition, and some of the data that I am presenting to you today is collected during the case investigations. Today, we will begin by refreshing ourselves about different hepatitis virus, an overview of the epidemiology of hepatitis in Oregon. We will take a look at the number of liver transplants among Oregon residents and their hepatitis C status, and finalize with the number of liver cancer cases with and without hepatitis infection. Hepatitis A is a highly contagious liver disease caused by the hepatitis A virus. This virus is a spread person-to-person contact, eating contaminated food or drink, or sexual contact with an infected person. Symptoms of hepatitis A range from mild to severe. 70% of adults will have symptoms of hepatitis A when infected, while children under the age of 6 are less likely to have any symptoms. In the last decade, the number of hepatitis A cases in Oregon have not really changed. 2023 was the year with the lowest number of cases reported in the last decade. In the last 5 years, most cases of hepatitis A reported in Oregon have been related to travel. About 1/3 of these cases also reported having a sexual contact during the incubation period. Hepatitis B is a viral infection that attacks the liver and can cause both acute and chronic disease. The hepatitis B virus is mostly commonly transmitted from mother to child during birth and delivery, as well as through contact with blood and other body fluids during sex with an infected partner, and unsafe injections or exposures to contaminated sharp instruments. Symptoms can range from mild to severe, or some persons may not have symptoms at all, resulting in many undiagnosed or underreported infections. Hepatitis B is vaccine preventable, and this infection has no cure. In the last decade, over 4,500 chronic hepatitis B cases have been reported in Oregon. Chronic cases are represented in the orange line here. As you can see, the number of chronic hepatitis B cases began to decrease in 2018, with a slight increase in 2021 and increasing more in 2023. Acute cases significantly decreased in 2023, with only 10 cases recorded. In the last 5 years, most acute hepatitis B cases reported were among males. The majority of them were ages 40 to 49 years of age. Collection of race and ethnicity is part of our surveillance form. We know that this information is important when it comes to health promotion and disease prevention planning. But how do we know which group should be targeting with health promotion? So this table shows the proportion of acute hepatitis B cases reported in the last 5 years by race and ethnicity in Oregon. Proportions of acute hepatitis B cases were then compared to the Oregon underlying population. Asians, African American, and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander represent higher proportions of cases when compared with the Oregon population. When it comes to risk behaviors and exposures, strict drug use was most reported by cases interviewed, followed by healthcare exposures. Injection drug use was the third most reported risk factor among cases reported to us between 2019 and 2023. A highlight here is that 50% of those who reported strict drug use also reported injection drug use. Similar to acute hepatitis B cases, chronic hepatitis B cases reported in Oregon are mostly among males ages 40 to 49 years, while females get diagnosed earlier, mostly 30 to 39 years of age. This map here shows the average rate of chronic hepatitis B cases per 100,000 people reported in the last 5 years. So that's 2019 to 2023 in Oregon by county. The darker the color, the highest the rate of persons chronically infected. Multnomah County and Washington County have the highest rates within the metro area. But a good highlight here is that Marion County has a higher rate than Clackamas County. Border counties such as Melhor and Josephine County also have high rates. Some of these rates are similar to Clackamas County, which is located in the metro area. Hepatitis C is another type of viral infection that affects the liver and can cause both short and long-term illness. It's spread through contact with infected blood, such as sharing needles or from unsafe medical procedures. Most hepatitis C cases are asymptomatic. About 80% of people infected have no symptoms, and 85% of them will develop chronic hepatitis C infection. There is no vaccine for hepatitis C, but hepatitis C can be cured in more than 95% of cases with antiviral oral medications. Overall, the number of hepatitis C reported cases has been decreasing in Oregon since 2021. This is true for both acute and chronic cases. The purple line here in this graph represents chronic cases, and the green bars represent acute cases reported in the last decade. More than half of acute hepatitis C cases reported in Oregon between 2019 and 2023 were among males. Majority of both males and female cases were among 20 to 29 years of age at the time of diagnosis. Proportions of reported acute hepatitis C cases were compared to the underlying Oregon population, and it was found that American Indian, Alaska Native, Black, or African American represented higher proportions of cases compared to the Oregon underlying population. In Oregon, only acute hepatitis C cases are investigated by local health departments. Among acute cases investigated in the last 5 years, injection drug use was the most reported risk factor, followed by strict drug use. A third risk factor was reported as having history of STD diagnosis. This graph shows substance use status of reported acute hepatitis C cases in Oregon in the last 5 years. Injection drug use was reported by 60% of cases. 10% of cases reported non-injection substance use, so other substances but not injection. 20% of cases had no history of drug use. From 2019 to 2023, about 18,000 chronic hepatitis C cases were reported in Oregon. It is important to point out here that this number includes both confirmed and presumptive cases. So a confirmed case would be a person with a positive RNA test, while a presumptive case would be a person with a positive antibody test report. So looking at this graph, we can perceive that the majority of chronic cases reported between 2019 and 2023 were in their 60s for both male and females. Let's take a look at the age distribution of hepatitis C cases at the time of diagnosis in the last 10 years in Oregon. The assumption here is that the majority of these reports were related to injection drug use. So the blue line here represents year 2014. Green line is for 2019 and orange is for most recent year, which is 2023. In 2014, we had a baby boomer distribution, but a lot of infections under 45 years of age. That is the blue line here. The binomial distribution is very obvious in 2019, which is the green line, with many young people reported. By 2023, we see a flatter distribution and fewer cases reported. This map shows the average rate. So this is the average rate of chronic hep C cases per 100,000 by county in the last 5 years. Highest mean rates are observed in border counties such as Malheur, Baker, and Clapson. When taking a look at hepatitis C as a contributing cause of death among Oregon residents, we found that the number of deaths each year still over 400 people per year, and the number of deaths per 100,000 has not really changed, has not really decreased over the last 5 years. From 2019 to 2023 has been the same, even when adjusting for age. This graph here shows us chronic hepatitis C infection as a contributing cause of death in Oregon residents by race and ethnicity. Significant here is the high rate among American Indian, Alaska Native, and Black and African American groups. And this data is from the last decade, 2013 to 2023. This graph shows the number of liver transplants done among Oregon residents in the last decade. Overall, the total number of liver transplants done among Oregon residents has increased. As you can see, the number of people with history of hepatitis C receiving a liver transplant decreased in 2023. So out of 64 liver transplants that were done in Oregon last year, 11 of those had a history of hepatitis C infection. Our last objective was to match chronic hepatitis B and chronic hepatitis C cases reported to our surveillance system with liver cancer cases reported to the Oregon State Cancer Registry. So we matched those cases and we found that between 1996 and 2021, about 7,471 cases of liver cancer were reported to the Oregon Registry. Of those, 41% match a person in our surveillance system for hepatitis, either B or C. So when looking at matches closely, we found that about 13% of our matches were reported to our surveillance system or ACDP department with infection of hepatitis B between 1988 and 2021. The other 87% of persons were reported to us with hepatitis C between 2005 and 2021. This graph shows all liver cancer cases diagnosed in Oregon by viral hepatitis history. Overall, the number of liver cancer diagnoses has been the same in the last decade. It's been over 200 cases each year. The number of liver cancer cases associated with hepatitis B has also stayed about the same, with an average of 22 liver cancer cases per year. There was a small decrease in the number in 2018. Those liver cancer cases related to Hep B decreased a bit to 17 in 2018. For those with history of hepatitis C, the story is very different. In the last decade, there was an increase on the number of liver cancer cases with history of hepatitis C infection. The increase could be seen starting in 2014 up to 2019, but down again in 2020. And just there to point out, I would like to point out that hepatitis C became reportable in Oregon in 2005. I would like to thank my colleague Jeff Capisi for his guidance and help with the mortality data. And thank you all of you for being here today.